I've gone back and forth about whether to share this, but I feel like I need to put it somewhere. This happened when I was a sophomore at a college in the Northeast. I won't say which one. I'm a member of Kappa, and I'm an English major. I've always taken my academics seriously because I'm planning to attend law school after graduation, and that context matters for what I'm about to explain. Last semester, I enrolled in an upper-level course on English Romanticism. The class was small, maybe 25 students total, mostly juniors and seniors. There was a professor who technically led the course, but the bulk of the teaching happened in discussion sections run by the TA. His name was Ro. Yes, that was actually his name. I never knew if it was his first or last, but that's what everyone called him. Ro was in his late 20s, tall, thin, and socially awkward in a way that was hard to describe. He gave off this, "I'm in a band, but not a good one," kind of energy. The course content itself was fine. Close reading, discussions about nature, memory, and romantic era philosophy. But participation was usually dead. Most days students sat in silence, waiting for Ro to fill the gap. He hated that. You could tell it made him uncomfortable. And when it did, he'd start cold calling students and making snide remarks when they clearly didn't know the material. There was one student who consistently kept discussions alive. His name was Luke. He was tall, had brown hair, and the only other thing I knew about him at first was that he belonged to one of the more respected fraternities on campus. He had a natural sense of timing. He'd crack a joke at just the right moment, not to derail the conversation, but to ease the tension. More importantly, he actually did the readings. When he spoke, it was obvious he understood the material, which made his humor feel earned rather than distracting. Because participation counted heavily toward our grade, I ended up being one of the only other students who spoke regularly. Most discussions were carried by Luke, myself, and maybe 2 or 3 others, while everyone else checked out. Ro seemed to appreciate this. He often nodded when I spoke, expanded on my ideas, and occasionally framed his responses in a way that felt affirming. For my first essay, I wrote about ambiguity in Wordsworth's Tintern Abbey. It wasn't revolutionary, but I was proud of it. When I got it back, Ro had left long, thoughtful comments throughout the margins. Not just corrections, but genuine engagement with my ideas. After that, something shifted. Ro began paying noticeably more attention to me in class. He called on me more frequently, asked follow-up questions, and held eye contact longer than felt normal. At first, I convinced myself I was imagining it. Does favor certain students all the time. It didn't have to mean anything. Then his questions started drifting away from academics. Around that same time, I began running into Luke more often outside of class. Our sorority and his fraternity overlapped constantly. Mixers, date nights, parties. Greek life isn't really my thing, but we were both in what people would consider top houses, so our social circles collided a lot. Eventually, we started talking regularly. I found myself liking him. After a few weeks, he asked me to get dinner with him, and I said yes. We went on a few dates, and things progressed naturally. He was attentive, kind, and easy to be around. We started sleeping together. I wasn't madly in love, but I liked him. The relationship felt simple and low stress. One afternoon after class, I was walking to my car when I saw Luke standing behind the lecture hall smoking a cigarette with Ro. They were talking like they knew each other. It struck me as strange. I didn't even know Luke smoked. When I asked him about it later, he laughed and said he was just trying to get on Ro's good side so he wouldn't have to work as hard at the end of the semester. I told him that was pathetic. He laughed and said he'd rather be pathetic than get a bad grade. A few weeks later, I noticed his phone lying next to him on the bed, a YouTube video playing while he slept. I know I shouldn't have looked, but curiosity won. I went through his phone. What I found wasn't what I expected. There was a collection of photos of me, a lot of them. Some were harmless, studying, walking to class, but others were intimate. Some were photos I had sent him. Many were not. I didn't remember ever taking them. I wasn't angry, so much as unsettled. If he had asked for most of them, I probably wouldn't have said no. But the fact that I didn't know they existed made my skin crawl. I didn't wake him. I went back to sleep, unsure how to process it. A week later, after he fell asleep again, I guessed his phone password. It was his birthday, reversed. This time, I looked deeper. I found messages. Luke had been sending those photos of me, to an unsaved number regularly for weeks. Nearly the entire time we had been seeing each other. I took screenshots of everything. I started shaking. I couldn't stop crying. I woke him up and demanded to know who the number belonged to. He panicked and claimed it was a backup phone. I knew immediately he was lying. I left before he could say anything else. Police became involved soon after. The unsaved number belonged to Ro. Luke confessed once investigators pressured him. He admitted that Ro had been paying him hundreds of dollars in exchange for photos of me. The arrangement had been going on since early in the semester. Luke was expelled. Ro was fired. I believe there was jail time involved. It didn't feel like enough. That was over a year and a half ago. I'm a senior now, close to graduating. I thought it was over. But a few weeks ago, I started noticing a silver sedan parked outside my sorority late at night. Not every night, just often enough to notice. I haven't seen anyone enter or exit it. I don't know if it's connected. I might be paranoid, but it's terrifying. My name is Mikey. I'm 22 and live with my parents in Northern California. Real Northern California. Snow, forests, and isolation. Our nearest neighbor is 10 minutes away. 2 weekends ago, my parents flew out of the country for a wedding. I stayed behind. The first night alone was uneventful. The second night, I woke up in the middle of the night. That never happens to me. My phone was on airplane mode, so it wasn't a notification. The room was pitch black, but something felt wrong. As my eyes adjusted, I saw my closet door wide open. I always keep it closed. I reached for my phone and turned on the flashlight. There were 2 figures standing at the edge of my bed. They scattered the second the light hit them. Something metal clattered to the floor. I screamed and chased them into the hallway, but they were already gone. The front door slammed. I locked myself in my room and called 911. When the police arrived, they found no signs of forced entry. They said I must have forgotten to lock the front door. After they left, I saw what had fallen. A kitchen knife. Someone had been standing over me while I slept. My name is Natasha. I'm 23 and recently moved into my first apartment alone in Columbus, Ohio. A few weeks after moving in, I started noticing a man around the complex. Average looking, late 30s, gray hoodie. At first it felt coincidental. Then I saw him watching my building. then sitting in his car, then at a Chipotle 15 minutes away. I called the police. They said there was nothing they could do. A week later, I found a note under my door. You should really close your blinds at night. I moved out 2 weeks later. A month after that, I saw the same navy blue sedan 2 blocks from my parents' house. I haven't seen it since. I hope I never do.